With newsrooms across the Shenandoah Valley, this is WHSV TV3 News at 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
50 years ago today, the Saturn V rocket launched from Kennedy Space Center and sent Apollo 11 into orbit. 4 days later, humans landed on the moon for the first time ever. Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Corso in for John Rogers.
And I'm Nina Barati. Thank you for joining us. Today, in honor of that historic moment, the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum unveiled the refurbished spacesuit worn by Neil Armstrong. Vice President Mike Pence spoke at the unveiling.
Now, true to their creed, astronauts have never liked being called heroes. And the man who wore this suit was especially resistant to such labels. But if Neil Armstrong was not a hero, then there are no heroes.
The suit is part of the museum's exhibit showcasing artifacts of the mission that landed men on the moon. And today we spoke with one Valley man who helped put those men on the moon 50 years ago while he worked for the then GE plant in Waynesboro.
Political crisis at the Capitol stirring up conversation right here in the Valley. The group RISE is holding a meeting right now talking about racism in politics. WHSV's Autumn Childress is at that meeting right now. She'll have a full report for you tonight at 10 and 11. But first, let's take a live listen in.
You are racist. If you defend people who are racist, you are racist.
One local man is hoping other people are on the lookout after he got a scam call from a number appearing to be the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office.
You know, it was a call from the Sheriff's Office, and I was afraid to say, you know, I'm ending this. I was afraid they were going to show up at my house and arrest me.
Bruce Bosselman says he got a call on Friday saying he missed jury duty and owed $1,500. He didn't lose any money, but he's worried others could.
So I can't tell if these are actual old people or these are people that were young. Oh.
And first at 11 tonight, it's the latest viral trend called FaceApp, but now officials are raising some privacy concerns. Good evening, I'm Autumn Childress in for Kyle Rogers tonight. West Virginia Secretary of State now urging people to use caution before they use FaceApp. He says you could be putting yourself at risk.
The bill is very important because we want to eliminate as many distractions as possible when driving.
It could soon be illegal to use a handheld phone while driving in Virginia. A bill in the General Assembly could make a big difference in the law. Right now, it is only illegal to text while driving and do other similar activities. And this bill would make all handheld phone activities illegal while behind the wheel.
There's only about like 4 to 8 feet separating you from that other car. And if you are distracted even for 1 second, you're going to be traveling the length of probably between a volleyball court and a basketball court. That's how far you're going to go.
Cries for Governor Northam to step down have been heard around the nation and right here in the Valley. We did a WHSV live poll to see what our viewers are saying. Right now, a majority of viewers who voted say yes, the governor should resign. In the studio, Autumn Childress, WHSV.
Thank you, Autumn. Join in on the conversation and stay informed as we gather more information as calls for the governor to resign continues. News is always on at WHSV.com and the WHSV News app.
WHSV TV3 News at 6 begins now with breaking news.
We'll have our say on conflict with Turkey. Thank you all so much.
That was Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax earlier today talking to reporters before another woman accused him of sexual assault. It's breaking news tonight at 6. I'm Kyle Rogers.
With newsrooms across the Shenandoah Valley, this is WHSV TV3 News at 5.
With temperatures in the 90s today, some people went to the South Fork Shenandoah River to cool off. You can see a few people enjoying the water by tubing. This view right near the town of Shenandoah. And this heat might just stick around for a little while. Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Corso in for John Rogers.
And I'm Nina Barati. Thank you for joining us. Let's check in with meteorologist Mackenzie Lee, filling in for Chief Meteorologist Aubrey Urbanowicz. She's in the first alert weather center tonight, and those troopers had a great idea today.
Yes, Mackenzie, we've got some warm temperatures, but it's even going to get, I guess you could say, dangerous later this week.
Right. We're going to keep with that heat, but also the high humidity, and we're going to see some sunshine rather than today where we had some of those showers to cool us off. So it's definitely going to get quite hot as we head into the weekend. But take a look first at this picture sent in from Lori Herndon. You can see just how isolated some of these showers can be. A great view of that rain coming down there. Thank you, Lori, for sending that in. You can submit yours on WHSV.com and the WHSV weather app. Take a look at live Doppler radar. We had kind of a line coming together as it passed through us. You can see that strong line now east of the Blue Ridge with some severe warned storms there heading toward Washington, D.C. For us, we're not seeing too much, at least storm-wise. We have a couple of showers, namely this one here, some heavy rain over the city of Stanton right now. And in Augusta County, heading toward Waynesboro, that's what Chelsea was going to be talking about. So we do have a couple of showers on the way for tonight. We'll have a couple of showers through the evening, and we'll stay pretty much clouded over. A little bit of patchy fog developing overnight. Mostly cloudy skies. Highs or lows tonight in the upper 60s, low 70s. But we were talking about that heat as we head in the next couple of days, heating up even further. So talking about that dangerous heat, I'll tell you how hot it will get, and we'll see some relief coming up.
All right, thank you so much, Mackenzie. With the temperatures as hot as they are, heat exhaustion and heat stroke are more common, especially for those who are spending a lot of time outside.
Heat exhaustion is often confused with heat stroke, okay? And so when we think about heat exhaustion, we can think about that as the precursor to heat stroke.
Dr. Krista Marie Coleman says heat exhaustion and heat stroke can have similar symptoms, but heat stroke requires immediate medical attention.
You are no longer experiencing heavy sweating as well. So with heat exhaustion, people are sweating a lot. But with heat stroke, you're not sweating as often. Like I mentioned, the nausea, the vomiting.
Coleman says some people may not realize they're suffering from heat exhaustion or heat stroke right away, since the symptoms can happen gradually. And with those signs in mind, there are a number of ways for people to stay cool while the temperatures continue to rise.
WHSV's Chelsea Church is live at War Memorial Pool in Waynesboro, where folks are doing just that. How are people doing out there, Chelsea?
Bob and Nina, there aren't many people here right now with the storm that's getting ready to come through. But when I was here earlier today, there were tons of people looking to stay cool by the pool. But not everyone may have access to a pool or an air-conditioned home. So I went around the community today to find out what's open to the public to beat the heat. Splashing around in the pool is one way to be out in the sun without getting too hot. And it's fun for the kids.
Me personally, I don't like the heat, but the kids are out here, so I don't mind being out here.
Some say coming to the pool during the summer is part of their daily routine, but with the temperature getting hotter, staying by the pool takes a higher priority over other daily activities.
We probably just won't leave as early as we typically would. Even for nap time gets a little thrown off because we stay here for much longer than we usually do.
But not everyone may be able to get to a pool or pay to get in. There are other options in the community to get out of the hot sun, like the public library.
You can read books, you can get on the computers, you can study, but you don't need to be here for one of those specific reasons to just come in and sit and stay.
The Department of Social Services is also offering a cooling assistance program for people to keep their homes cool by getting help paying the bills, as well as repairing or installing air conditioning units. You can apply for the Cooling Assistance Program until August 15th, and I'll have more on that program coming up at 6 and on our website, WHSV.com. But for now, reporting live in Waynesboro, Chelsea Church, WHSV.
Chelsea, thank you. Some breaking news now. Moments ago, prosecutors announced they're dropping the sexual assault case against Kevin Spacey. He was accused of groping a young man at a Massachusetts bar in 2016. Spacey has denied the allegations.
A Stewart's Draft man who was accused of punching a sheriff's deputy in the face last September was on trial in Augusta County Circuit Court today. Stewart Francis Cox conceded guilt to 4 of the charges against him, including a felony of assault and battery of a police officer, destruction of property, and obstruction of justice. A judge found him guilty of assault and battery. Cox will be sentenced on November 15th. Early data suggests U.S. overdose deaths last year likely fell for the first time in nearly 3 decades. Numbers from the CDC show nearly 68,000 drug overdose deaths were reported last year. It could rise up to 69,000 as more investigations are completed, but that number has been climbing each year since 1990, topping 70,000 in 2017. While a decline is good news, the overdose death rate is still about 7 times higher than it was a generation ago. This overdose epidemic has killed more people than any other in U.S. history. The CDC is expected to report more complete data later this year. Family members of victims killed in the Boeing 737 MAX plane crashes testified on Capitol Hill today.
In the hearing on aviation safety, grieving relatives urged stricter regulations. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez reports from Los Angeles.
They are images of heart-wrenching loss and the human toll of what Paul Giroga calls Boeing's negligence.
My wife and my mom-in-law knew they were going to die. They had to somehow comfort the children during those final moments, knowing they were all their last.
Giroga's wife and all 3 children, as well as his mother-in-law, among the 157 people killed when Ethiopia Airlines Flight 302 crashed in March minutes after takeoff. Giroga testifying before the House Aviation Subcommittee, urging stricter FAA regulations and accusing Boeing of putting profit over safety by allowing the 737 MAX to fly with a major software glitch believed to have contributed to the Ethiopia crash and a Lion Air crash in Indonesia just months earlier.
If Boeing's wrongful conduct continues, another plane will dive to the ground, killing me, you, or your children. It is you who must be the leaders in this fight for aviation safety in the world.
All 737 MAXs have been grounded since March. Boeing says it's fixed the software issue, but has since found new problems. The plane's now possibly being kept out of service into next year. The company's CEO says in a statement, "We have the utmost sympathy for the loved ones of those on board," pledging $50 million to the families of victims from both crashes. Giroga calls that a press relations strategy, saying he's never received a personal apology. He's filed a lawsuit against Boeing. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Mexican drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman will spend the rest of his life in federal prison. In February, Guzman was found guilty of 10 counts, including engaging in a continuing criminal enterprise and drug trafficking charges. A federal judge sentenced him to life in prison plus 30 years.
Never again will Guzman pour poison over our borders.
El Chapo is expected to serve out his sentence in the nation's most secure federal prison in Florence, Colorado. Still ahead, the heat can be hard for most people, but what about those who work in it every day? We check in with how construction workers are dealing with the heat. Plus,
a local business owner was just one of several people to receive this flyer recently. What they say and why people are upset, coming up.
WHSV TV3 News at 6 begins now with breaking news.
And right now at 6, breaking news from Harrisonburg, a massive fire at a student housing complex right near JMU.
Air 3 over the scene this afternoon as firefighters from several departments, even nearby counties, responded to help. Good evening and thank you for joining us on the special edition of WHSV's News at 6. I'm Nina Barati.
And I'm Kyle Rogers. We're here at the Southview Apartments. This is along Peach Grove Lane as well as Lois Lane. To give you a better perspective, if you're familiar with Harrisonburg, this is right off Port Republic Road behind the food line. And this is where firefighters from throughout the Shenandoah Valley spent much of their afternoon battling this blaze. The good news is investigators say nobody was hurt.
And our live coverage, big team coverage begins now with WHSV's Autumn Childress. Autumn, she's been on the scene all day. What can you tell us?
Well, Kyle and Nina, what we're seeing right now doesn't compare to the scene from earlier. When I got here, this middle building, number 1083, was completely engulfed in flames. Now take a look as crews work to put this massive fire out. Authorities got called around 12:06 this afternoon. They say it started on the ground floor, then spread to the attic and started coming out of the roof. Now the 3rd floor of this middle building is completely gone, and the Harrisonburg Fire Chief tells us it took several crews from surrounding areas to put this fire out.
Ended up going to a 5th alarm fire, which brought units from not only the city, but multiple agencies within Rockingham County, Augusta County, Shenandoah County, Harrisonburg Police Department, Harrisonburg Rescue Squad, JMU Police Department, and Public Works were also on the scene. It took that many resources to gather enough to knock the fire down.
Now, Chief Bennett tells me the fire is still under investigation. He says it could take a while for crews to actually get inside and figure out what caused this whole thing. But of course, stay with WHSV. We'll keep you updated as we learn more. Kyle and Nina, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Autumn Children's reporting live for us right now. Autumn, thank you so much. And moments ago, right before we went on the air, we did hear some good news that came out of this tragedy. Rescuers were able to find a dog.
His name was Echo.
Named Echo. He was hunkered down in the bathtub.
Yeah,
I believe.
A nice little reunion between him and his owner. Unfortunately, that was in one of the apartments that did get damaged, but we will have that video up on WHSV.com and on our social media pages.
Of course, tonight at 10 and 11 too. Now, this is a student housing complex, so of course a lot of students from JMU call this complex home.
They do, and earlier today, the university, they did send out an alert warning students about the fire. Students could see the smoke from campus today, and they were not the only ones. The smoke could be seen from as far as Cross Keys and from WHSV Skycam on top of Massanutten Mountain.
Yeah, so you can imagine most of these students went to class today, only to get the news that their home was caught on fire. A lot of concerns from relatives and people who live here in Harrisonburg, too.
Yeah, and as you can imagine, by seeing these images, it could be scary for some students to know if it was their home or not, especially when they were in class.
And right now we do know that counselors are on hand to help with these students, to be there with them during this very difficult time, something that most of us don't even imagine could happen to us. So our team coverage continues now. We're going to check in with WHSV's Mackenzie Lee now. Mackenzie.
Kyle, Nina, I spoke to several residents who live in this apartment complex today, and even a couple people who live in the building that caught on fire. Their overall reaction today was shock, sadness, and just hoping that people inside were okay. I talked to the fire chief earlier today. He was saying that even though the fire started on the 3rd floor, the 2nd floor and the 1st floor would not be inhabitable anytime soon, but the tenants of the building did all check in and say that they were safe. It was just heartbreaking, though, to hear them talking about the property they lost and their pets, the concern over their pets inside, and they're just hoping that anyone that was in the building is okay.
We all need to come together and just pray for these people because they just lost almost everything.
Most of the time when you hear it, you just think it's nothing, but this goes to show you that can happen to anybody.
Basically, I didn't start panicking until I got super close and saw that it actually was my building that was on fire. Well, so I just immediately started sobbing because my cat's in there and they haven't gotten him out yet. But other than that, that's all I'm really worried about because everything else is replaceable.
Fire Chief Ian Bennett did say that the wind played a part in helping the fire spread from the original building into the next one. I'll send it back to you, Kyle and Nina.
Mackenzie Lee reporting live for us tonight. Thank you so much, Mackenzie. We keep talking about this. This is student housing. Yeah. And when you go off to college, you really don't bring much other than the bare essentials and stuff that you need here while you're studying classes. But within the last couple of hours, we've really seen the community showing some big support.
Yeah, not just the JMU community. We've seen Harrisonburg and Rockingham, and the GoFundMe page has only been set up hours ago, and they have already raised $30,000. We do have that information online as well, but it's amazing to see a community like this come together for these JMU students.
Yeah, we're going to check in now with WHSV's Hannah Hall. She's back at home base in our newsroom now, and Hannah, just an incredible outpouring of support so far.
Yeah, well, Kyle and Nina, that GoFundMe is now actually over $35,000. And students at JMU, the university, and community members are all coming together to support the students impacted by the fire earlier today. Courtney Brogna and Michelle Wahidi are collecting donations in the lobby of their apartment complex. And this video is from their apartment complex earlier today, about 2 hours after they started collecting supplies. They're collecting clothes, shoes, bedding, non-perishable food, anything that can help out the students impacted by the fire. JMU Deputy Spokesperson Caitlin Reed says they're working with the community to get everyone the help they need. Reed says the support from the community means a lot.
It's just so reaffirming of our positive connection to the community, and we really are deeply touched by how many community organizations have stepped up to show care and compassion for our students.
They're working with the bookstore to replace textbooks and school supplies, and they're looking at organizing a computer loan program, and they're also working with the business office about short-term loans for students if they need them. And Reed says anyone who needs help from any of the services offered by JMU can contact the Division of Student Affairs. If you'd like to donate, you can contact Off Campus Life. We'll have those contacts on our website, WHSV.com. Kyle and Nina.
All right, Hannah Hall, live in our newsroom tonight. Hannah, thank you so much. And I mean, it just goes to show that when there is a tragedy, the community really comes together. And
they
this
really
all
do.
within just a few hours.
Yeah, when I pulled back to the station, a woman from Rocktown Realty, she grabbed me and she said, what can we do to help? And they have all of those rooms lined up for the students that were displaced. So it's a beautiful community, and thankful we have all of that here.
Absolutely. And again, you heard Hannah say if you would like to help out these students, log online right now at WHSV.com.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to turn to weather right now.
All right, well, Aubrey, you can see it's been a little bit breezy this afternoon. Some people down in downtown Harrisonburg, they did see the smoke from earlier today.
Yeah, absolutely, Nina and Kyle. And it was kind of more breezy at times for today. And you have to think those apartment complexes are directly due south of downtown Harrisonburg. So with the winds coming in out of the south, it was dragging some of that smoke and maybe that smell from that smoke into downtown. And it has been rather breezy at times, and we're still holding on to a bit of that breeze at this time. But also another contributing factor could be that the air is so dry. When you have that low humidity, that really kind of puts a hamper on firefighting conditions, or can lead to exactly not, or at least not fighting the fires so well when the air is so dry. And we're holding on to that dry air for tonight and even into tomorrow, because we really don't have any moisture on the way, not until Sunday. And there's not even a lot of moisture on the way for Sunday. Take a look at our temperatures right now. A lot of us able to make it into the mid 70s, or mid 60s, I should say, for today. 70s are on the way. We were able to make it into the mid 60s. Some spots even into the upper 60s for today. 62 right now in Harrisonburg, 64 in Franklin and in Stanton, 63 in Waynesboro. It certainly has been an absolutely beautiful night, and temperatures will continue to drop into the lower 60s for tonight and eventually into the 50s. So a very comfortable night, a little bit more comfortable than our last few nights, but we'll talk about the warmer air that is on the way. I'll have a look at that. That's all coming up.